Hello everyone. Hello everyone, this is Wei, and today we will be talk about OpenLive3D. And this is not a depth stream, as you can see. This is a study stream because today I don't actually have the perfect setup for the the software development. I actually just have one laptop with me today. So with the single 13-inch laptop screen, sometimes it's hard to do the development stream while doing streaming, while having the entire VTube setup, and also while replying to commands if there are any. Right? We probably won't will not get any commands today, but I still got 2 hours of time, and I think it will be a good time for us to actually study what is actually happening for the VTube Studio integration, right? So this is the VTube Studio uh, GitHub project, a great project, and the best part of this project is that it actually provides a UDP API so that you can actually integrate the like facial landmark or actually integrate the blend shape from it. Right, so you will have a phone that install the app, and after you install the app, you can open another software in your Mac or PC, and inside that app, you'll be able to capture the information that is captured from your phone. So if you want to do this type of connection using your mobile to capture uh, the information, and also using your PC or your laptop to do streaming. Uh, this software, VTube Studio, is a good choice. Since we are not planning to set up a server so that uh, to build the communication between your cell phone and your PC or laptop. What we can do is that we directly utilize VTube Studio and try to obtain the information, which is open. It actually provides the application interface for you to do the integration. But of course, to do the integration, the thing that we have to do is to actually know how to integrate it, right? So this is the stream. This is a stream that we actually learn how to do VTube Studio integration. That we have to learn the thing, right? So as we can see, just from browsing, I haven't actually studied too much about it yet. I just check some of the resources and uh, like making sure that I'm actually in the right place, which I am. Right. So for this project, the first thing that we can notice is that this is a UDP, not TCP. Right. So it means that the communication is uh, done via socket, not uh, TCP, not in the TCP call and respond workflow. It's still a call and respond workflow, but every time uh, you don't have to knock the door, right? So if we are setting up an example for this UDP and TCP connection, UDP is like setting up a dedicated uh, wire, a dedicated line that you can keep throwing message to one another. And TCP is that every time you try to communicate, you send an email to another places, and when another services or port receive the mail, they will respond, right? So that is a different from UDP and TCP. And UDP make a lot of sense because UDP is far more efficient since we have a dedicated line. One just keep we can keep throwing message to one another without all the checkings that we have to do for the address, right? Without checking the address, whenever you send a mail, you have to send it to the post box, and post box will track your address and then deliver that to the address, right? So UDP will not need to check the address, and that make it super efficient. This is also the mechanism that most people use when you are playing video games, right? Because uh, it's just a lot more efficient when you don't have to check the address every time. And when you are playing video games, you don't need to check the address. You just need to check it once, know the address of the game server, and you just keep communicate to the same server, right? So that's how UDP is useful. So we know that it's a UDP, and that's go through, yeah, and then we have to go through the process, right? So of course, there is an authentication, subscription, and from what I'm guessing, just from looking at the list, we will probably need to know how to do authentication and subscription. And by having the authentication and subscription, we will subscribe to a specific event that can provide us the facial landmark or blend shape. It might not be blend shape directly, but I think we will see. We will see. We will want to get almost the same information as the live 2D parameters, but that is not confirmed. I believe we should be able to, given that this is such a long documentation page, I believe we should be able to see what is the format of the return messages. And with the format of the return messages, we should be able to know what we will need to develop. The reason why I don't think we will have too much time doing that at the moment today is that we will need to also learn how to set up a UDP connection with Node.js. Sorry, with Electron basically. Right. So since we're starting up the Electron backend, it basically means we will have to use the Electron backend to communicate with this API server and to obtain the information, and then use the API backend to provide that information back to our frontend. Which will be very interesting. Based on the API, we either can skip the core completely if that is just returning blend shape, or we will have to call some of the interpretation or some of the conversion in the core, and we'll see. So let's get started to the study. The first thing, general information, public API, and yeah, I don't think that's a problem. Legal information, free to write, sale plugin, no permission required. There are no licensing fee and royalties. Okay, no provision is required. It doesn't mean that we don't have to. So when I'm seeing this authentication, I'm not sure if that means that we have to authenticate our communication with the app, with the running server, or we have to authenticate that to a website for like VTube Studio, so that we can get a key to use in the app or not. But if we're saying that there is no permission to require no licensing, I guess we don't need it. Yep. Okay. I guess we don't need it. So let's see. Great. So the event API or the API generally is what we want to. You can use to subscribe event happening, such as model being loaded, target. Okay, this is probably not we want or not we need. Uh, let's see this first. So there's an event API that seems to be the event inside the app. So event API, right? Because I know that in V2 Studio you can also open up a software that will run. Event subscription. Interesting, interesting. Okay, so that is what I am guessing that some of the event integration or some of the third-party uh, app in this document is talking about. For example, there are like Twitch integration. When you got some event from Twitch, uh, you can integrate with the VTube Studio, maybe via this API, and request response. But that is just a request response. Okay. I think just by looking at this, I don't think we need an event API. Model outline change. Yep. I don't think we need it. Coordination. Animation event trigger. Okay, we don't need it. We don't need it. So let's continue on the API detail. That is what we were saying. Then have the local address and port, and will also be using WebSocket. That's good. WebSocket server running on. Yes. Okay, cool. So default user can change the port in the app. Is generally support binary and text. Yes. Will always respond with text and command send text to the API. Humans also send binary, but if you do, make sure that you are encoding in UTF-8. Okay, so which means shouldn't. Okay, so this is the request and response that we're expecting to do the first check. State request, and then the API will respond with the state. That is saying that whether the connection is good or not. Okay, so state request, state response. Okay, no problem, no problem. These are good. Version current session authenticated. False. Okay, so whenever uh when we have V2 Studio running and we have everything set up, I'm thinking that so when you have everything set up, it will open up at this address, of course, localhost, and then this port, right? And when these are opened, we can try to send a message like this, and we will get the response like this. And based on the document, these will all be text. So this is basically JSON text. And in JavaScript, we can just use JSON streamify to send this JSON object. And when we get this, we can use JSON parse to get the to get the string into the JSON object again, right? So this key and value basically saying that when the first time when we code it, we're not authenticated yet, right? So I think the next thing that we will have to do is to authenticate the API. So let's continue. Server discovery also broadcast API state via UDP port 47779 every 2 seconds, even if the user had 10 of the API. Interesting. Okay, so this is just for API state, it seems. I believe this is set up so that when the server is not responding, you will be able to check another port to see if the server is actually had actually failed. This is an interesting implementation. Yeah, so you will open up 2 port, right? So 1 port for communicating. You can also check the state of the health of the API, of course. But if you don't get any response, there's another port open just for you to check the state or the health of the API. Is random get generated? Alright, so the instant ID should be aligned with the instant ID here, right? Do we have an instant ID here? I don't think so. Okay, so the instant ID here is different, right? Because this is also a broadcast. So when you just so when you connect to this port, you will just keep getting broadcast message every 2 seconds. Interesting. So you just keep getting the broadcast for the health data if you connect to the port. Okay, these are important messages for the health of the integration. We'll probably not use that for quite a while. And these are the important part. We know that when the server is open, when the app is open, and when we start the integration, we will not get the authentication, right? We will not get authenticated. And what we want to do is to actually have the authentication. And this is the request that we need to send. But what is this plugin icon? Everything else, I think I can get it. So plugin icon can be added optionally. This have to be a base encode PNG. Oh, interesting. Okay, so this icon is a PNG, or basically is an image. Okay, I thought this is like a password hash key or something. Okay. So we don't necessarily need to pass this information. We just need to give our app a name. In our case, OpenLive3D developer's way, right? So that should be good. Request ID, some ID. So request ID is that the request ID, is that an important information that we have to my ID with that sent. Okay, should be fine. We'll just give an ID that makes sense. That's probably like Wait or OpenLive3D. Just give it OpenLive3D. I think it should be fine. You will get the following response, and we'll get this response with the token. Interesting. Okay, so you might ask, I'm not sure if you will wonder, but you might ask, why? Since that is a UDP, and we also see that by subscribing to an UDP port, by listening to the UDP port, we will just keep getting broadcast information. So why do we want this authentication set up? And we will also need a token to access the information, it seems. It seems like, I believe this is because we will have different token to communicate to the same server, And also, I think with this token is a way so that the same application will not try to listen to or subscribe to the information twice or more than twice. So this could be the reason why request ID is important, because we want to fix it. So only one request ID can get one authentication. That's my guess. And sometimes we will need to actually test it out to see what will happen. And great. And for the next one after, okay, so this is another potential response that rejected the authentication and user has denied API access from your plugin. This could be, okay, I think we need to understand this. User can revoke API access from your. Okay, interesting. Right, so I get it now because there are, when we start to run this, there are also two things that will happen, right? We will start our mobile app to capture the face information, and we will also start a laptop or PC app that will uh, collect the information from the mobile, right? So when we try to subscribe to the app that is running inside the laptop or PC, we're trying to get the information actually from the mobile, which can have some privacy concern if that is because this is actually an open port that you open, right? I think at the start of the document. Yes. At the start of the document, it is saying that you will have an open port A001. So if, although you shouldn't, if all your port and all your uh, basically address, your IP address is open to the internet access, everyone can connect to that A001 port. And if the information is just broadcast everywhere, and if you didn't take care of your security of that instance of the PC server that you're running the app, everyone will be able to get the information. So there is a confirmation mechanism. Like after you send the request, I'm guessing that either in the server app or in the mobile app, we'll have to confirm that request, right? So only after that confirmation will we get a response, and the confirmation can be confirmed or not confirmed. So that's why there is a denial for this, it seems. Okay, so if we did get the response to access, and we will get the token, and we can just use the token for this session, basically within the same connection. And in the next session, you can use the same token to authenticate again, so you don't have to send the request to get token again. Will only be asked allowed blocking once to authenticate for one session. Okay, so this is the request. If we want to authenticate using this authentication token. Interesting. So authentication request, I think we already see it once, right? Let's see. Authentication token request. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so we need to send an authentication token request first to get a token. And then there's an authentication request that we have to send a token to get to resume the authentication, it seems. Right, so authentication response. Token valid. The plugin is authenticated for the duration of the session. Okay. Okay, just by looking at this, it seems a bit more complicated than I thought. So we have to first send an health check, and then we have to send the authentication token request. And then we, after obtaining the token, send an authentication request. And if our token is valid, we'll get the valid response with authenticated true. And there's a reason to say that whether it is authenticated or not. Good. So we will got some event, it seems. Subscribing and unsubscribing to from event. And is this the event? No, this is the event that we say that we probably don't need. Right? So in previous API, subscribing to event, which will make VTube Studio send your messages whenever something relevant to your plugin is happening. And here, okay, so we probably don't need those. Okay, now let's see what else are there that we can send to the API to obtain through the A001 UDP port by default. Statistic request, and we've got the statistic response, which will have the frame rate of the capture, version, allow plugins. Interesting. Connected plugin started with Steam. Huh. Okay. So we're using Steam to start the VTube Studio or not? And width and height. Windows is full screen. No. Okay. So statistic plugin basically give us some environment variables, it seems. And then get the list of VTube Studio folders. VTube Studio folders info requests. Live 2D model. Background. Item. Config log backup. Doesn't seem to be very important. Next one, current model request. We will get the name. We get some icon image. I don't think this is important other than this one. Right, so okay, so what I'm seeing here is that we're talking about Live 2D. Right, so for Live 2D model, which I am actually not familiar with, we will have two axes, X and Y. We'll have a rotation because that is just two-dimensional, so the rotation can be summarized in just one number. And there is a psi, which is a scale of the model, because basically for Live 2D, you're like interacting with one two-dimensional images, right? So these information, from what I'm seeing, is trying to describe that two-dimensional messages. Okay, I don't think we need this because we're using the 3D model, which in 3D, position will be X and Y, rotation will also be X, Y. Position will be X, Y, Z, and rotation will also need to be X, Y, Z. So we probably don't need that information. And get a list of available VTS model. Available model requests. Right. So these are the registered VTS model. Right. So I think these are all Live 2D model then. Loading a VTS model by its ID. Okay. Moving the current loaded VTS model. Okay. Yep. It's an XY for position X and Y. And also one rotation that can rotate the model. The VTS model, which I would say 2D model by 360 degrees, and move model request. Interesting. So we can also use this plugin to so this we can use this port to send information into the VTube Studio to move the 2D model. But that's not what we want. We want to obtain the moving information. Okay, so interesting. So how do we do it? Request list of hotkey available in current or other VTS model, and request is hotkey in current model. Okay. Okay, so VTube Studio does have some hotkeys that you can bundle and do different things. Next one, hotkey trigger request. Okay, so you trigger a hotkey, Live3D. Requesting current expression state list. Okay, so expression. Okay. So expression is defined depend on different model, right? I think this is you can get the current state active indicating one specific expression or all expression. I think expression is defined. Yeah, expression is defined by model, right? So I think this is for the current model, for the current avatar. What are the available expressions? Will be empty if no model is loaded. Yes. So this is for the current loaded model inside this VTube Studio. What are the available expressions? We don't need it, and we don't need it. Requesting activation or deactivation of expression. Okay, so you can enable or disable expression, requesting these of art meshes in current model. But this art mesh Live3D. Okay. First of all, okay. I'm not getting some questions in the YouTube comments. So right, let me reply to you later. Oh, okay. Let me try to reply to you now. What exactly would you like to learn more? Like you want to learn more, right? What exactly would you like to learn more? We're currently trying to optimize the OpenLive3D, and we're doing a rewrite. So of course it's going to be more advanced because we have only foundation set up. So this is because we're rewriting it. Yeah, but what would you like to learn? Yeah, in terms of like learning more about this, like OpenLive3D, or about writing VTuber software as a whole. Yep. So just let me know what you would like to learn, and I think we can definitely cover some part of it, and also I can also point to some resources if anyone would like to learn more about like writing the software. Cool. So let's get back to this part, the art meshes a little bit. Right. But by the way, just write in the comments. If you want to if there are more specific questions, just write in the comments. Cool. So for art meshes, because I never tried Live2D, actually, so I can only guess what it means. Because for mesh, we're trying to define a grid, right? And from what I personally learned about Live2D is that we are trying to uh, moving this grid, and we have several different layers of images that we can move their grid. And by moving the grid, we can define how, in different scenarios, the grid of the image will be changing. And that's how we are making the 2D images turning their directions. Oh, hello, Ghostweb. Hello, Ghostweb. By the way, squares big? Yeah. So I haven't seen your question yet, but yeah, let me know what's your questions. And you can also send in the Discord server if you want to ask anything. Cool. Yep. If you want to learn anything, let me know in the Discord as well. Hello, Ghostweb. Today will be a starting string. We will go through the API. Right. So we in this API, what I'm getting is that we're defining how the 2D images in different layers will be moving, and we can get a list of them, and it seems like we can get a list of the name of the defined movement probably. Cool, but we don't need it. Yeah, but we don't need it. And the next one, tint art message with color. Interesting. Okay, so it seems like in Live2D we can do some like tinting, like color changing of different layers. Getting sim lightning overlay color. Okay, so we probably don't need it as well, but I'm guessing we're adding some light. Okay, it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting. Cool. Yep. So, you can. By the way, Square is it big? Have you add the Discord server? You can type in like Mandarins to me. No problem. I can respond in Mandarin as well. Yeah, but since this is a string, I will keep things in English. I think it's easier for the documentation, other than like having different languages. So yeah, you can add to the Discord server, and you can just send private message to me. It's fine. Just yeah, let me know what you would like to learn, and also we can also discuss like to get in the field, or even like software engineering generally, because I have like 10 years working experience in the field. So yeah, send me private messages and we can chat. Cool. Checking if face is currently found by tracker. Okay, so this is the first. This is the first API that will be useful to us, because this is actually talking about what we're trying to capture from the mobile part, right? So what we would like to set up is the smartphone via web USB or webcam tracker. Yes. Right. So this is the first part. Can we store some keys or say? Yes, we can actually store the keys. Right. So this is the first part. Let me open another document to save some link here. Yeah, I'm old, you know. I've been working for 10 years. Yeah, I'm quite old. Yeah, so cool. This is the first one, and we can actually see if our mobile is getting the face information. And right, so request list of available tracking parameters. Interesting. So what I get it now. Whenever we see tracking, this API will be useful. So you can also refer VC face. Yeah, I guess VC face definitely have some of the. Let's see. Let's see. Do they have GitHub? I think so, right? I think they have GitHub. Yeah, there is a GitHub. Not a JPG. SDK. And inside SDK, yes, there's quite a. Yep, it's a solid C# code. Right. That is good. I think we might reference to them at the end, but I think we should still actually study the API document before we start doing the actual integration, right? So at the end, when we actually start doing integration, we might check how they make it work. Let's see. Let's see. I think we can check something first. So VTube Studio, and let's see if they have it. No, they don't have VTube Studio. VTube Studio. Yeah, I spelled it correctly. Okay. Or they are not using the VTube Studio name. Could they be using tracking app? It's only in their document, it seems. Yeah, it's only inside their document. So that could be more problematic. I am not sure if they have everything inside this SDK. Yep. That would be a bit problematic. But it's okay. It's okay. We will see. I think it's from OpenCFace. Interesting. Is this new? It's not new, right? Did they change the name? I think this was called VC Face also. Okay. So yeah, we should probably be able to refer to this whenever we really need the integration. But yes. And this is also Python plus C#. Okay. The test egg is quite interesting though. I'm always amazed by how they for C#, I completely get it. Uh, because that is for Unity, right? In Unity, you write in C#. Just by the way, anyone try Unity? There are quite some news about Unity recently, so I'm not sure if VC Face will also change their models because it might actually affect them for the new pricing model for Unity. But yeah, let's get back to work. Available tracking parameters, and let's check my custom parameters. Plug in them. Default parameters, face angle, and face position. Huh? Okay, so this is the tracking parameters that I think, from what I'm seeing, is the limitation of the angle of the face, rotation angle, and also the position of the face. Right. So these are not the real-time information of our face. These are just parameters, and there are custom parameters that we could be defining, but I don't think we'll be defining anything, which should be fine. Which should be fine. Get a value for. Okay, let's still copy this because we might someday have to set parameters. Okay, and let's continue. The next one, get a value for one specific parameter, default or custom. Okay, so this is get a specific parameter value. My custom parameters. Okay. Also copy it. And next one, get a value for all live 2D parameters in the current model. And live 2D parameters. And these are just parameters because we can see that there is a min and max, right? So these are parameter setup. Okay. Return if the no model is loaded. Interesting. So this, because from what I've learned so far by looking at this document, it is just basically telling us that we will be having the face capture from the mobile, and we will be having the 2D model loaded. We will be having the 2D model loaded in the PCL LED up, right? So these parameters, the environment parameters or tracking parameters, can be set. Tracking parameters can be set for the mobile, and there are other parameters like model parameters, and here is live 2D parameters that can be set for the model. And these parameters uh, will be binded to the current model. Right? So these are some of the parameters that we can set, which is very interesting. Very interesting. Because just by looking at this, I'm thinking if we should be able to bind some specific parameters, because we can also change our parameters inside setting, right? In OpenLive3D, we have the settings that have like some variables to set. And I'm thinking, is this a good idea to bind these parameters to your VIM model? Right, so this is another topic that we can definitely discuss later. But since this is the model parameters, we don't need to care about that too much. Adding new tracking parameters. These are interesting because why will add new tracking parameters useful? You can also add your own tracking parameters and use them in your VTube Studio models. Custom. I don't see how this can be useful though. Have to be unique offer. Alright, so I don't think these can be useful. I think you can write some logic in your 2D model inside VTube Studio, and these logics can capture the parameters to make different things. But since we will not be able to define the logic, we shouldn't be we won't be affected about this too much. Since you have the tracking parameters, that I still copy the link to it, but I will not go into the detail for this tracking parameters. Delete custom parameters. Okay, this is just a copy, and we can go through the next, because we probably, just by looking at this document so far, we probably will not need it. And yes, I think these are the things that we will start to use. Feeding in data for default or custom parameters. Can feed in data for any default or custom parameters. These tracking parameters. Let me use. Okay. Okay, so these are inject parameters. So when we injected it, the model will be able to get the parameters, it seems. Okay, so these are also not what we are looking for yet. If parameter won't doesn't exist, the error payload will be returned. Cool. So yeah, we have to register a new parameters, and then we had to define the parameters. And after we define the parameters, we can inject the parameter value. While we define it, we can define the range. And when we inject it, we should inject the information within the range, it seems. Control one parameters with multiple plugins. Okay, we don't need it. Get physics setting. Current loaded. We don't need it because we don't care about a 2D model. Overriding physics. Okay, we don't need overriding physics. Get and set NDI setting. You can request a current NDI setting and change them via the API. This allows you to turn NDI on or off. Set a custom fixed resolution. Information about NDI, how to use it. Okay, let's read some more document. Streaming to Mac PC. The main use of VTube Studio is to use your smartphone for face tracking. Yes. Render your model in Mac PC app and use OBS to stream to YouTube or Twitch. Okay. So yeah, basically VTube Studio, I completely understand it. Like this is the 2D version for a lot of the VTuber software, right? So, like what we're doing for OpenLive3D, we're basically trying to do very similar thing, just that we do face tracking not with your mobile. We do face tracking with the webcam, and we also render model. We also render 3D model, and also we use OBS Studio. So yes, we're doing the same thing and record streaming with OBS. Streaming. Oh. Okay, so this is the setup to connect your cell phone to your app, right? I don't see any other problem with it. Okay, shouldn't be any. I think yeah, I think we should be good with this one. And for this API, we're trying to get the NDI configuration, right? So we will be getting some NDI configuration about the connection, how the connection is working. Custom width and height. Yes, I don't think we need to take care about this too much. Alright, yes, let's copy this link as well, but I don't think we really need to care about the connection. Hopefully, we don't need to care about a connection between the VTube Studio app to the mobile. And requesting list of available items and items in theme, which should be inside the 2D theme. So we don't need to care about this as well. Available spots. been. Yep, these are 2D scenes because we can also see type where some of them will have different type. Yes, PNG and loading item into the theme. Good. So these are control that we can send. Yes, that we can send to have the image, for example, loaded inside the V2 Studio 2D scene. Removing items, yes. Control items and item animation, yes. Moving item in the scene. Interesting, yes, we don't need it. Good. Asking user to select art mesh. Okay, this I know. And that's it. What? If the request is successful, the selection list will be shown to the user. Okay, this is tricky. This is tricky. I don't see how we can directly, just by looking at this document, we can directly get the blend shape. Let me search for it. We don't have this name. We don't have this. We should have landmark, right? How? Okay, in this case, how do we connect to it? Okay, I think we do. First of all, I think we do know that this is a tracking app, but where is the place that we are getting? Tracking. Okay. Tracking app. We need to know. The file is not used by the tracking application and currently outdated. Okay, so this is not used. Tracking app, tracking time. Yeah, we do have the face tracker, Sounder SVN. OpenSea expression, OpenSea show points. Interesting. Can also refer. Yeah. Okay. So that's just we just have to do this. Get face information from V2 Studio. Right. I actually saw some of this introduction video already. But I don't really get Interesting. So there is an official document that is even longer than the document that we just saw. And there is actually a paying version. Interesting. Supported device, which I know. And how to work, which I know. Can it before? How do I buy? Okay. How do I buy a VTube Studio? Why should I? How can I use it commercially? Want to use iPhone tracking only. Download the VTube Studio app from the iPhone or Android app. Download, then go into the apps. There is a big button to use Pro version. The Pro version gives you access to some features not available in free version, such as being able to stream to your PC for longer than 5 minutes. Okay, so the free version doesn't support more than 5 minutes streaming. That is interesting because we have already streamed 1 hour. Right? Just by looking at this document, we have been streaming for 1 hour. Alright, so okay, 5 minutes, very short, and being able to remove the VTube Studio logo from the app. Okay. You do not need to purchase anything in the stream version now. Just download it for free and use it. No watermark. I want to use webcam tracking only. Download Steam for free. Try it out webcam tracking. You will notice a watermark being shown only when the webcam tracking is active. Okay, that doesn't really apply to this because that is for removing watermark, which we don't need. What do you suppose webcam? Yep, cool. But can I try VTube Studio before? Okay, this is not okay. I think we're trying to get somewhere. Let me check the reference again. iPhone ARK. iPhone ARKit tracking receiver. ARKit. Okay. Let's see. Do we have it? No. Let's open another page. CFA Guitar ARKit. VCFA manual. With ARKit tracking, I animated eye movement only through eye bone and used looking blend shape only to adjust the face around the eyes. Okay. Perfect sim blank shape information. And track document received from eye facial mocap and face motion 3D. For these to work properly, necessary for the avatar to have the necessary blend shape. What the? Is this even supported? Interesting, interesting. So tutorial add to your VRoid. Uh-huh, uh-huh. Does it mean that for VRM1, which I already know, we will have the 52 blend shape? Oh, it seems so. It does seem so. Alright, so sorry, let me download these uh, VRM model to test. Right, so I downloaded the VRM and let me load this VRM model. Uh, let's try this upload. Interesting, interesting. Now we have the blend shape. Okay, for this one we do have the 52 blend shape, and it seems like this is actually supported in VRM1, which is interesting because I didn't actually support all these blend shape. Wow. Okay, so this basically means I will have to study the VRM1 format because I thought from VRM0 to VRM1 there are not much difference, but it does seem like there are a lot of difference now, which we will probably need to study for quite a while. And let me set the VRM back to my personal model. Good. Okay, so now we know there can have 52 blend shape, and there are document. I think this is just an example. Anyway, there are people adding all the blend shade to it, and it does seem like the control can be a lot more specific. Yes. Yeah, because for 52 blend shade, the iPhone control can be a lot more specific. And this is actually okay, so this is actually what we want, and we actually are halfway there because we have the VRM1 support and we have all the blend shade control available as well. Just that for a more detailed uh, for a more detailed control, we will probably need to we will probably need to study the code, study the format of the 52 blend shape, trying to get the capture and trying to adjust the code again, right? So let's see our code. Let me change the scene a bit. Okay, so let's see the code. Let me show you where our code is. Here. Okay. So let me show you where our code is in terms of phase control. Right. So for phase control, is it here? I think so. Okay. So this is how we're controlling our mouth and eyes. This is how we're controlling our mouth and eyes. And we know that when we do have 52 blend shape, the control can be a lot more subtle, right? Currently, we just have the browse up and down, and that is actually an extra information that could be defined inside VRM0. And inside VRM1, if we do have 52 blend shape, which can have a lot more control than the current like 6 to 7 blend shape that we have, we will need to have a better control function than the current control function, and we might even need to write different. Okay, so this is very very tricky. So we have to. Okay, so we still have to use the global variable to communicate what blend shapes are there. And when we do have different blend shape, and when we do have those blend shape, we can try to produce a more complex information and put it back, place it back for the user to control their model. Yes. So yes, for example, such as I think, yeah, okay, so this is something that we definitely need to take care of in the future. Okay, let's change the thing again back to the document. We probably don't need to worry about it too much for now. This is good to know because 1.1, right? My model is also 1.1. It's just like it doesn't have that much, not many plane shape. You just have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. It only have 8 plane shape. Actually 7, and also there's one auto mode. Alright, so let's get back to the integration. It is possible to use HANA tool to add this plane shape as described below. Interesting. Our disable while audio are detected. Jar open. Mouth funnel. Mouth close. Only open mouth according to one software. Okay. Yeah, okay, so the current problem or the current case is that VC phase reasonably as a software that actually want to I think it's free, right? Is there a pro version? I think VC phase is free, right? Let's see. I think free. Yeah, it's free. I think they are not making any money from this, and also they have the uh, facial mocap. Okay, so whether they are making money from it or not, definitely they want to build a community with it. And since they want to build a community with it, maybe they didn't open up their code because I don't see this arcade, this eye face mocap. Yep, I don't think iPhone tracking in the open C face. Alright, which means we probably will not be able to study how VC face do the integration. We'll have to do it on our own. And by doing on our own, we have to study the document. Let's see. iPhone. I think we have to track the iPhone. Forward pointing camera. Tracking at the same time with Okay, I don't think we are getting the information that we want, which is, or let's search for ARKit. We do have ARKit for Apple iOS. The smartphone tracking is provided by Google ARCore on Android and Apple ARKit on iOS. ARKit face tracking on iOS is much more advanced when compared to ARCore on Android. This is particularly due to the support of iOS device having specific hardware for face tracking. True depth camera. iPhone device with the A12 true depth. Maybe observed with bad lighting. iOS device better, provide much smoother and more detailed tracking. Preferred over, okay. The next one, that's it. Can I use? This is there VC? No. Okay, interesting. We might need to study more iOS and ARKit. Obtain blend shape location with completed this side. Oh, that. Yes, look at this. Yeah, you can see that they're also using the default model, right? Interesting. Interesting. Okay, so this is actually quite a long time ago, actually. Let's see. Okay. I didn't expect the sound to be like that, but right, so we do have all these models supported this. Great. For iPhone and okay, good. And this my phone, like the worst one, iPhone SE second generation, does support this, it seems. Okay. Okay, all the 52 blend shape. Is this the yes? This is the one that we just saw. Avatar simple, avatar simple. Yes, yes, yes. Uh huh. Interesting. So 102. Okay. This is how to break up the. Mm-hmm. Virtual motion capture. Yeah, the problem is we probably don't. Okay, this is the mapping for the 52 blend shape. Okay, I don't think we need this right now because but I'm guessing these will be what we these are the information that we are looking for and we will be getting when connecting to the iPhone arcade. Just that the current problem is that inside the VTube studio, how do we get that information back? Because it seems like it is still uh, communicating using somewhat the request response flow, right? And that is reasonable that it is following the request response flow. But there's no blend shape. But how do VC phase extract the how do VC phase do the settings to extract the information from VTube Studio though? I don't think I don't see how that work. Tracking. Yeah, this is a perfect sync. Yeah, I think we saw this document. Receive iFace mocap and face motion 3D application. For this to work properly, it is necessary for the avatar to have necessary 52 arc blend shape. Yes, for VROY avatar, HANA tool, add blend shape described below. Make sure iPhone PC connected to one network and start the iFace mocap on iPhone. Play the phone's IP address. Enable the iFace mocap receiver in the general setting of VC Face. IP address of the phone. Okay, so from what I am seeing, we probably don't, we probably shouldn't keep tracking this VTube Studio document. I thought this will be how we could communicate and get the information, but I think we probably these will yeah, I think we probably cannot use it. I think what we might need to do is to directly set up this iFacial mocap receiver inside the Electron. So let's just try to see if we can actually search for that. Shoot. Why? Okay. JS. Yeah, I facial mocap. Receiver. JavaScript. Node.js. Receiver. Interesting. What if I don't call it receiver? Is there any Node.js for this? Okay, let's check the eye facial mocap first. OpenCV for face recognition. Yeah, this is problematic. Okay, so let's see. Let's see. I think the current problem is that, okay, it's not a problem, but the current case is that send to capture information in real time to 3D CG software. Yeah. 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 The problem is that we will have to study. If we don't have a parser that can work and communicate to capture software, like I believe VTube Studio is getting, we will have to rewrite the whole thing, and I don't think that is a good idea. So we have to study how they can communicate. Real-time face checking. Yeah, let's see some example from others then.
Good day. Tutorial on how to get
Third-party PC client. Okay. Great, 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 great. So third-party PC client is what we're looking for. What? Does it have? Okay, let's check the. Okay, so let's slow down the video a bit. I was looking at like 4 times.
Also, I have opened the iPhone. Are you prepared? Google Meet. And in the App Store, you're gonna search for VTube Studio. There we go. You should open it. What is this? I do. I'm not gonna do this now though. So you go to the settings, like the you can't even see where I'm clicking. The cogwheel icon in the pink one. And then at the bottom, we're gonna click third-party PC clients.
Yeah, okay. So why I cannot search it here? Oh, I mean the OpenVC. Yeah, so we should be in here instead. Okay. What we need is third party PC clients. What the? Third party wiki. Interesting. That's not X for local network access. Third-party PC client support no longer usable. What? Okay, it's actually quite hard to do these kind of tracking. Because what I want to see is inside the code. We don't have third party defined inside the code. Doesn't make sense to me. Okay, so if that is not defined, how can I track? Because in that, okay, and we also have quite a large third client. It is difficult. Doesn't X for local network access breaking. Sending data to VC face. You can use V on your iPhone, sending blend shape tracker tracking data to VC face running on your PC. Taking advantage of the high quality iPhone tracking for your 3D models. The function is included in iPhone version VTube Studio completely for free. So you don't have to buy the Pro version if you want to use this feature. Yes, yes, yes. That only available on Windows with the focus on. Yes. It mainly use web tracking to control. Do not need to use at all. Okay, so interesting. So in this case, we just need the app directly connect to. How do I use? Setting up. I actually had never tried VC Face before, but that is only because I only have Mac for like so many years. For more than 5 years, I only have Mac. So I was never able to try VC Face, and that's the reason why we're writing this OpenLive3D. But it seems like we need to talk to the developers if we want to have this connection working. Yep. Yeah, I think these is specifically built. Yeah, I think this is specifically built to have VC phase connection. Interesting. Receive eyeglass. Hybrid LTLC. Okay. So these are the function. iPhone art tracking receiver. So what we will need to do if we actually need to actually have this development first, we will have a need to have an iPhone art kit tracking receiver. That is for sure. And after that, we will have to talk to the developer of VTube Studio to do the integration. And to be able to set up the integration. It's recommended to keep the camera. Okay, it seems like that is the case. Good. So that's also documented this as well. Yeah, this will be interesting. Yep. So on basically all of these are not important because these are set up to talk to the app. The API that we saw in the beginning. Yep, the API that we saw in the beginning, all of these are set to talk to the app. But we don't need to talk to the app. We can directly, it seems, to talk to the capture, the mocap. Right? So it basically means face mocap 3D. We need to have the ARKit tracking receiver. In JavaScript. If we don't have that, we're screwed. So we have to find a JavaScript version for it. Otherwise, we will need to face tracking. Okay, so face tracking is not what we want. I think we would need to be more specific. And that will have to be eye facial mocap. Eye facial mocap, and for languages, we need JavaScript. And there's no project for it. No. Huh? Interesting. What is this? Connect between iFacial mocap and VR chat. Okay, that is VR chat using OSC. Because I know this developer. I think this developer is from Pixar, right? I don't see where he work. Yeah, Pixiv. This developer is from Pixiv. And since I'm using the 3 VRM, is basically mainly maintained by him before. So yeah, the 3 VRM is maintained by him. Okay, so he wrote some connection for it to work in VR chat before. Yeah, he's a generous guy. Okay. PC. And receive UDP. Okay, so Node.js and Yon and Avatar with perfect sync. Interesting. Okay. That is good. Converting VRN. I recommend VROY Studio and HANA to combo. VRN can be imported using Unity. UniVRN. Then why do we need Node.js? Okay, so the connection mechanism, IFN OSC. Woo! Ooh, this is what we will need, it seems. This is what we'll need. Okay, interesting. IOSC. This is such a large project. OB5ER. This is such a large project. I mean, yep, yep, yep. This is what we need. This is good. This is good. We have to study this, right? Who? No alternative? iFace mocap is an app. Yes. On iOS, not on Android. Yes, I know. Right. So currently, from what we see, from what we learned, and from what we have been tracking, basically what we learned is that uh, the reason why VC Phase can have direct connection to the VTube Studio basically is because VC Phase have the eye facial mocap capability, right? So we can also see that in their document, such as this one, like they can enable this eye facial mocap with the iPhone Arcade tracking receiver. And in the tracking app, there are several different functions that you can select. V2 Studio is one, Eye Facial Mocap is another, Face Mocap 3D is another one, right? So This eye facial mocap capability is something that we have to build in so that we can actually connect to different trackers. And I'm not sure about eye facial mocap and also face mocap 3D. I believe these are built in by either Apple or Google. But VTube Studio, it seems like it is a specific build that the developer set up for VC Face to connect to it. And the reason why, and there is no actual code that is telling us how that is done. And when we actually track, when we try to check the implementation by, I think, Amelia, yes, by Amelia, that the VC Face source code is actually not open, right? And that is reasonable that the VC Face source code is not open as well. I'm not saying that it is a bad thing. So that is not open, which means the OpenC Face, the open version, don't actually have the eye facial mocap integrator inside it, right? So the open C face only had limited function, which means we have to find and we have to build our own eye facial mocap or ARKit tracking receiver, right? We have to build it by either by our own, or we have to search for some other projects that we can refer to. And to build it by our own will be a very large project by itself, right? So we have to find other implementation. And we will hopefully be able to find other implementation in JavaScript. Yeah. Because there could have some other implementation in other languages. But if there are specific libraries that, for example, we have to use the SDK provided by like some of these tools to connect to it. If that is the case, we will not be able to do the connection. So it is wonderful to see that OB5ER, a very, very generous developers, great developers, actually build something already. So from what I am guessing, it is eye facial mocap OSC. And we are having everything inside it all at once already. OSC min. Okay. WebSocket. Interesting. Yes, so I think this is another open sound control. What? Is it? I think this is the one that we want, right? Is it the open sound control? Open sound control. Yes, it is. Why do we need open sound control then? Why? How does it make sense? VRC. It doesn't make sense to me. Or because there is a VR chat plugin, so it need two at once. It need the eye facial mocap plus the OSC inside this package at once, so that it can submit the 3D model movement information plus the sound information directly into the VR chat. That's what I'm guessing. That's what I'm guessing. Because it already have the WebSocket to communicate, let's say, with the iFacial mocap handler. Someone connect to our. This is actually on connection WebSocket. Close. Someone to. Okay. This is just a like a general WebSocket, right? So I don't see how instead of initializing this to get on and off message. Yeah. So okay, so this is not very important, it seems. This is the part. Blend shape name proper name map. Okay. I believe this package is the package that we have to study. And it is MIT. Oh man. Such a generous person is MIT license. So we can actually use this package. We can use this project. Yeah, it seems like we can use this project. We have to study it. We have to study it to understand how to get it to work, but is iFacial mocap free? It's free. It's free. Okay, it's free. Interesting. Cancel. Okay, there's a pricing here. $5.99. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's worry about the price later. I will probably test it. But let's worry about that later. IFM handler. Create socket UDP4. Why? Listening. Socket listening. Address. Port. Socket on. Message when we get a message. We will do some splitting. And we will parse, it seems, map entry. And we will parse the name to be the blend shape and the value. Okay, interesting. So they are using a hyphen to split. How is that even? Okay. Okay. How does this even make sense though? How does it even make sense? Because, okay, it doesn't really make sense to me. So when we actually get a stream, so we already know that we get a stream because entry is something. So when we get a stream and when we split it, it will become an array. that is always larger than 1 when we actually contain any of the character here. And when we do have that character, we will have 0, 1. Yep. Yeah, it's like, and we can actually set the result blend shapes, result blend shapes, and we can have the head and eyes. Okay, I get why he say there's a limitation. He or she say that there is a limitation because is trying to combine. This is very interesting. This project is very interesting. Let's give it a start. So I think what he want to do, or what he is currently doing, is to combine the head and also eye information from eye facial mocap. And by getting that, he's using this port. What? Is it the port that it would be? No, this is not the port. So why is it using this port? Okay, anyway. So what? So this circuit bind to the local port. We are listening to an address and port, and we're binding that to a local port, and we're sending this information to this local port, which I'm guessing this socket on. Address. This socket address. Okay, but we are binding. Okay, we are sending this information to another IP, which is fine. Why do we read in it like this? It's something that I don't understand. We shouldn't, but okay. Right. I think what we have to do is to spend another 2 hours on this project at this. Right. So we might need to spend 8 hours on this project to try to understand everything and write our own, right? Because this definitely will not work for us. For example, this IP, this port, this magic data, I have to understand what it does, why that is defined, and we definitely need to figure out how these like blend shape implementation is working, property map, and yes, a lot of things will need to be understood before we actually. Yeah, we'll also probably need to spend a lot of time inside this as well, because I think we're trying to set something to capture the information. And I'm running out of time because I got another appointment after this. But yes, I think it is great that we actually found this project. That is definitely worth it. Like after spending 2 hours to try to study this, and we find this project, and we found that there is something that we could potentially actually use, and that is just definitely 100% worth it, I would say. we might have to check for some of the filler information with this OB5ER person. That is a great developers that I actually have a chance to chat with before to report some of the bug in 3VRM. And yes, by getting more data inside this IFN OSC, we should be able to connect the information and get the blend shade data. We have to build it inside our own electron connector, it seems. And if we are able to build that inside our own electron connector, yes, I will say that this function can be built. Cool. So yes, this is something that we have to. Yeah, this is something that we have to take care of, and yep, might be very difficult. Might be very difficult, but we have to get it to work. We have to get it to work. Cool. So yes, let's call it the day. Let's call it a day. Because this is a study stream, I think we're making quite a great progress. And for tomorrow, what we will be doing will be, let's check. For tomorrow, what we will be doing, we will be checking the mobile support first. Yeah, no, we will be checking the shader. Yes, I hope I get it to work as well. But it seems like it's not a short-term project that can be done within 2 to 3 hours. We might need to spend more time on this, and it need more study. So I okay. A good news is that my next job lined up is in November. So yes, from now to November, we'll have plenty of time. I might not stream every day because I only plan to have 2 weeks of intense streaming. But yeah, from now to November, we will have plenty of time, and I would definitely be able to spend more time on this. Yeah, it will be wonderful if Ghostwave you like to help as well. Only give you some source. Yeah, but it's fine. It's fine. I think we can figure out a way to get it to work. There are a lot of things that uh, we can see. For the Also for the better UI, I think I got some ideas. Because yesterday we actually tuned an UI, right? We tuned an UI with a version. But I figured that that version might not work for everyone. There are some community members reported that they click the blend shade quite often, right? So they click different blend shade quite often, and in that case, I will say that we there. I think there is a way that we have a UI inside setting so that people can select different UI. And that could be the topic that we work on for better GUI. Yeah. So yes, that project, if we provide that selection, yeah, we can do that this Friday definitely. I don't think that would be too much of a effort. Probably like 1.5 hours for the GUI optimization. So that would be great. And for tomorrow, we'll be checking we'll be checking shaders and how to create better visual effects. Uh, we will start by checking some of the lighting, how that can be modified, and after that, I think we will be spending quite a lot of time thinking about how do we have a UI that can help the users to to modify the shaders, modify the effect. We will focus on the effect first instead of the shaders because yeah, shader integration could be more complex, but we can focus on the effect first, and we can focus on the lighting first for to be more specific. And yes, I think this is I think this is a great study stream. And cool. Let's call it a day. Bye bye. Bye bye, Ghostweb.